The golden hour light is the color of forgiveness, but in this kitchen, it illuminates a silent transaction. See the child's small hands. They move with a precision that belies their years. They are not setting a table, they are arranging an altar. The fork must be parallel to the plate's edge. The napkin must form a soft, blunted triangle. Each placement is a silent clause in an unspoken contract, written in the nervous system before the mind can even read. The child's eyes are not on the cutlery. They are on the doorway. They are listening, not for the sound of a parent's car, but for the quality of its silence. Was the engine turned off with a sigh? Was the door closed with a gentle click or a resonant thud? This is the first liturgy you learn, the geometry of conditional safety. It is not a fortress with walls. It is a labyrinth of cause and effect. If you are this quiet, you earn that momentary peace in a parent's eyes. If you absorb this unspoken tension in the room, right here, into the hollow of your own small chest, you prevent that explosion. If you make your own needs disappear, the need for comfort, for explanation, for simply being difficult, you become, for a fleeting moment, lovable. You are praised. You're so good, so easy, such a relief. The words feel like warmth, like salvation. And so a devastating alchemy occurs. You wire your entire being to seek more of that specific, conditional warmth. You become a living, breathing shock absorber for the emotional tremors of the world around you. You learn to read a room not for its beauty, but for its latent storms. You become an emotional cartographer, mapping the subtle topography of moods, the fault lines in a voice, the seismic shifts in a silence. You are a good child, the best. And the foundation of this goodness is a silent, humming terror. For a while, the system holds. The equations balance. Love feels earned, and therefore, in a twisted logic, secure. You believe you have cracked the code to belonging. But the body keeps a different ledger. The nervous system, that ancient scribe, records every suppressed cry, every swallowed protest, every time you made yourself small to make space for another's bigness. And here lies the central, brutal paradox of your life. The very survival mechanism that once kept you safe, this preemptive obedience, this hypervigilant attunement, this sacred duty of emotional management, becomes the very engine of your silent adult panic. The panic did not leave. It could not. It merely migrated. It moved from the realm of conscious fear into the substrata of your being. It now hums in the marrow of your bones, a low-frequency alarm only you can hear, vibrating through a life that looks, to the outside world, perfectly calm, perfectly ordered, perfectly good. You sit in a meeting, your own ideas lodged in your throat like stones, because you sensed a flicker of impatience across the table. Click. The old alarm sounds. You receive a text from a lover, a simple, "Hey, can we talk later?" And your stomach plummets through the earth. Your mind, that efficient servant, instantly produces a catalog of your recent failures, a menu of what you must have done wrong. Click. A friend seems distant, and you spend hours mentally rehearsing conversations, sculpting apologies for crimes you did not commit. Click, click, click. The panic is silent because its expression would violate the foundational rule. Do not be a disturbance. So it speaks in the somatic Morse code of a tightened jaw, a heart that races in a still body, a breath that is perpetually, subtly held. You are drowning in plain air, and the world compliments you on your graceful composure. Let us name the ghosts. Let us bring the mechanisms into the stark light of understanding, for to name a thing is to begin the process of divorcing it from your soul. First, we must speak of developmental trauma. This is not the trauma of a single cataclysmic event. It is the trauma of a climate. It is the slow, constant weathering of being in an environment where your authentic emotional state, your childhood anger, your sprawling sadness, your messy, needy dependence, was met not with mirroring and comfort, but with withdrawal, annoyance, anxiety, or worse, a punishment wrapped in disappointment. The lesson is learned at a cellular level. My genuine self is a threat to my connection. To be loved, I must be other than I am. Your authenticity becomes the enemy of your attachment. You are presented with a hellish choice. Be real and alone, or be false and loved. The good child chooses the latter, and in doing so, splits their world in two. From this split blooms the second mechanism, the fawn response. Therapist Pete Walker gave language to this fourth survival strategy beyond fight, flight, or freeze. When a child cannot fight their caregivers, it is not safe. Cannot flee, they are dependent, and cannot even fully freeze, that might draw dangerous attention. They learn to fawn. They appease. They placate. They become exquisitely attuned to the desires and moods of the other, and they perform a merging of selves. They say through 1,000 tiny behaviors, "See, I am not a threat. I am you. I want what you want. My needs are your needs." It is a genius adaptation. It is a life-saving performance, and it becomes the only script you know. Your personality becomes organized around disarming potential threats through preemptive surrender. You are not a person. You are a peace treaty. This leads irrevocably to the third and most pervasive imprint, the dysregulated nervous system. Your body does not live in the present. It lives in the terrifying, fertile ground of what might be. It exists in a state of anticipatory anxiety. Your nervous system is not reacting to a present danger. It is perpetually scanning the horizon for the first cloud that might signal a relational storm. A partner's slight tone shift, a boss's ambiguous email, a friend's delayed reply. These are not neutral data points. To your system, they are blips on a radar screen, potential breaches in the fragile peace you are tasked with maintaining. The physiological response is immediate. Cortisol floods, the heart rate spikes, and muscles brace. But the behavioral response is the opposite. You become softer, quieter, more agreeable. This is the essence of the silent panic, an internal hurricane masked by external calm. Your body is a battlefield where a war is being fought, and you are the only casualty and the only witness. Your very identity becomes contingent. You are not a human being. You are a human managing the emotional ecosystems of others, managing perceptions, managing the fallout of your own hypothetical missteps. Your self-worth is not a foundation you stand upon. It is a currency you must earn each day anew, in each interaction, through a calculus of usefulness, agreeability, and invisible labor. You are like a tree that grew not in soil, but wrapped around a heavy stone labeled, "Your worth is conditional." Your shape is impressive, gnarled, and strong, but entirely bent by the weight of that original stone. The cost of this architecture is a debt paid in the currency of an invisible, pervasive grief. It is the mourning for a self you never got to become, the spontaneous one, the messy one, the one who could say no without a three-act tragedy playing out in their chest, the one who could take up space without apology. The philosopher Nietzsche wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star." But you were taught, explicitly or implicitly, that your internal chaos was a destructive, shameful force, a burden. So you buried it. You entombed your chaotic, creative, vital energy. And with it, you buried your capacity for unscripted joy, for righteous anger, for the kind of love that demands nothing but presence. You exchanged your dancing stars for a constellation of safety behaviors, a rigid map of the heavens where every star is fixed, named, and under control. This creates a profound existential tension that hums at the core of your life. The poet Rilke counseled, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart, and try to love the questions themselves." But your entire psychic structure was engineered to solve the unsolved in others' hearts. Your own heart's questions, who am I? What do I want? Do I matter? Feel not like a sacred mystery to inhabit, but like lethal distractions, like rogue agents threatening to blow your cover. To turn your gaze inward feels like abandoning your post, like dereliction of a sacred duty. So you live facing outward, a sentinel forever scanning the perimeter, while inside, the inner world lies fallow, unanswered, and achingly lonely. The exhaustion you carry is not the fatigue of doing, but the deep soul weariness of perpetual anticipation. It is the cognitive and emotional load of running a constant simulation of reality, playing out every possible conversation, predicting every potential reaction, pre-solving every conceivable problem before it even arises. You are the playwright, director, and anxious critic of a play that never ends, where the stakes feel like life and death. The Stoic Seneca, 2 millennia ago, pinpointed the source of your suffering. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Your home is the kingdom of imagination, the terrifying, vivid theater of what if? What if they are angry? What if I disappoint? What if my need is the final straw? What if, by being fully myself, I make them leave? You perform nightly for an audience of ghosts, trying to appease specters of past disappointments, rehearsing for abandonments that have not yet happened and may never come. You are, in the old myth, Atlas, condemned to hold the celestial sphere upon your shoulders. But in your version, you are not holding up the sky. You are holding up the emotional weather of everyone around you. You believe it is your responsibility to ensure the sun shines in their inner world. When storms come, you feel it is your personal failure. You wonder why your shoulders scream in agony, why your breath is shallow, why you feel so crushingly alone. When you look out and see a world that appears, from the outside, to be at peace. The weight you carry is invisible, and therefore, to others, it does not exist. So how does this childhood contract manifest in the anatomy of an adult life? How does the silent panic wear its myriad of masks? Let us walk through the gallery of these reflections, not with judgment, but with the clear-eyed compassion of a witness. You might find that in relationships, you are a magnetic north for projects, for the subtly broken, for those who emit a quiet, desperate need. You mistake intensity for intimacy. The chaotic partner, the endlessly needy friend, the person who can't quite get their life together, they feel like home. Not because you are drawn to chaos, but because the role of stabilizer, therapist, the understanding one, is your deepest programming. It is the part you know how to play to perfection. In a calm, equal, healthy partnership, you might feel strangely bored, unnerved, or suspicious. Where is the problem you need to solve? Where is the tension you need to absorb? The silence of a healthy relationship can feel louder than any argument because it leaves space for your own unmet needs to arise, and that is terrifying. In your career and work, you are likely an achiever. You are reliable, meticulous, and acutely aware of authority figures' expectations. But your engine is not passion or purpose. It is the ceaseless need to prove your worth, to justify your space, to earn your right to be here through relentless, flawless contribution. Burnout is not an accident. It is the logical destination. It is the point where the body finally says, I cannot prove the unprovable anymore. You may sabotage success when it arrives because with it comes a terrifying new level of visibility and expectation. The panic whispers, now the fall will be farther. Now you have more to lose. Your relationship with boundaries is the site of your greatest inner conflict. To say a simple no feels less like a statement and more like a violent act. A grenade tossed into the fragile ecosystem of a relationship. You will agonize over setting the mildest limit, rehearsing it for days, only to deliver it with so many apologies and qualifiers that it dissolves into nothing. You believe in your bones that a boundary is an insult, a rejection, and will result in immediate abandonment. So you let people in too close, too fast, and then resent them for the proximity you granted. Your sense of self-worth is a phantom limb. You can sense where it should be, but you cannot feel it. Praise often lands with a hollow thud, or worse, triggers anxiety. If they really knew me, you think, they wouldn't say that. You feel like a fraud, an impostor who has tricked the world into believing you are solid, when inside you feel like a carefully arranged collection of mirrors, reflecting what each person needs to see. Your worth is always external, lodged in the approval you can see in someone else's eyes. When those eyes look away, you cease to exist. When it comes to emotional responses, your range is truncated. Clean, justified anger is almost inaccessible. It transmutes immediately into guilt, fear, or tears. Sadness is often silent, solitary, or expressed only through the proxy of a movie or a song. Joy itself can feel dangerous, too expansive, as if your happiness might be an affront to someone else's pain. Most of your emotional life is experienced internally as a dense, complicated weather system, while you present a calm, mild climate to the world. When faced with conflict, you are not present. You dissociate. You fawn, apologizing, backtracking, yielding immediately. Or you flee, physically or emotionally. A raised voice isn't just unpleasant, it feels like a physical assault, a threat to your very survival. Your goal in any disagreement is not resolution or truth, but the swift restoration of harmony. You will abandon your own position, your own reality, to achieve that calm. The cost is that you disappear from the relationship, leaving only a pleasant ghost in your place. You may find that your very identity is an echo. Ask yourself, what do I enjoy? What are my opinions? What do I want for dinner, for my life, for myself? And you may be met with a silent, white static. The machinery that was supposed to build a self was repurposed for scanning others. You are a brilliant receptor, but the transmitter of your own desires is covered in dust. Your hobbies, your tastes, even your political views may be adaptations from those you have loved or needed to appease. In your physical body, the silent panic finds its loudest voice. It speaks through the chronic tightness in your shoulders, the weight of the world you carry. It speaks through the TMJ that clenches your jaw shut while you sleep, silencing you even in dreams. It speaks through digestive issues, the gut, the second brain, churning with all the words you could not say. It speaks through insomnia, the mind racing through its nightly simulations, unable to stand down from its sentry duty. It speaks through a profound exhaustion that sleep does not touch, because it is the exhaustion of a soul performing a full-time performance. The path of unlearning is not a dramatic revolution. It is a quiet, persistent homecoming. It begins in the sacred space of self-witnessing. It starts with catching the click, that barely perceptible shift in your inner atmosphere when the old program boots up. Your partner is quiet in the morning. Click. Your mind begins its scan. Instead of following the thread into the familiar labyrinth of self-blame, you pause. You say internally, with the curiosity of a scientist, observe. The fawn response is activating. The old alarm is sounding. It believes a 40-year-old adult is a 7-year-old child whose safety depends on mood management. This simple act of noticing, without judgment, without immediate correction, is a revolutionary act. It creates a sliver of space between the stimulus and your habitual reaction. In that space, your true self can begin to breathe. Healing is profoundly practical. It is built not in grand epiphanies, but in small somatic reprieves. First, you must become an archaeologist of your own nervous system. Where in your body does the panic reside? For many, it is a knot in the solar plexus, the seat of personal power. For others, it's a constriction in the throat, the silenced voice. or a numbness in the heart, the protected core. Place your hand there, gently. Breathe, slowly and deeply, directly into that space. You are not trying to fix it. You are not trying to make it go away. You are simply bringing awareness, warmth, and breath to a part of you that has been frozen in fear for decades. This is somatic reparenting. You are teaching your body, through gentle touch and presence, that it is safe to feel, safe to exist. Next comes the direct dialogue of inner child reparenting. That vigilant, terrified, good child is not a memory. They are a living, energetic reality within your psyche. They are on duty right now. Find a quiet moment. Close your eyes. Visualize them. See them in that old kitchen at that perfectly set table. Approach them not as your adult self, but as the wise, kind, unconditional parent they never had. Look into their watchful eyes. Speak to them, out loud if you can. Your voice may shake. I see you. I see you working so hard. I see you trying to hold everything together. You are so brave. But you can rest now. I am here. I am big now. I will handle it. Your only job is to be a child. You are allowed to be messy. You are allowed to need things. You are allowed to be loud. I love you not for what you do, but because you exist. This will feel absurd. Then it will feel awkward. Then, if you persist, it will crack you open, and a river of grief and relief you did not know you were holding will flow. This is the work of reclaiming your own soul. You must practice, in tiny, terrifying doses, the art of emotional boundaries. This means learning to tolerate the discomfort of others without making it your mission to fix it. Let a friend's sad silence hang in the air without immediately peppering them with cheerful suggestions. Sit with a partner's bad mood without interrogating them or internalizing it as your fault. Your new silent mantra: their emotional state is their own. My peace is mine. This is not coldness. It is the deepest form of respect for them as autonomous beings and for yourself as a separate person. It is the declaration that you are no longer the emotional custodian of the universe. And finally, you must engage in shadow work, as Carl Jung prescribed. The good child's identity is built on the exile of their shadow, the difficult parts, the anger, the selfishness, the neediness, the laziness, the rage. These are not monsters. They are disowned aspects of your vitality, locked in the basement of your psyche. Invite them up, one by one. Let the angry part sit at your table. Don't let it drive the car, but let it speak. What is it angry about? It is likely furious at a lifetime of self-betrayal. Listen to it. Thank it for its passion. Let the selfish part state a desire. Acknowledge its right to want. This is integration. You are not becoming a monster. You are becoming whole. A tree needs roots in both light and dark earth to stand tall. This journey is not about fixing what is broken. You are not broken. You are exquisitely adapted. It is about updating an adaptation that has outlived its purpose. The goal was never to become a different person. The goal is to understand the person you already are, to meet the good child not with more demands for goodness, but with the one thing they were never given: unconditional witnessing. I see your strategy. It was brilliant. It kept us alive. But the war is over. We are safe now. You can come home. The silent panic was, all along, a prayer. A desperate, wordless prayer whispered by a child who believed their safety was a negotiation. You can answer that prayer now, not with more bargaining, but with a declaration of fact. A whisper to that child, to your own heart, in the quiet of your own being. The alarm can be turned off. I am here, and we are already safe. We are already home. The final act of the good child is not another performance of perfection. It is the courageous, imperfect, deeply true act of laying down the burden, turning inward, and finally listening to the sound of their own breath, in a silence that belongs to them and is no longer frightening, but profoundly, peacefully their own.